In 1 Timothy 6, it says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which some coveted after. They have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." Psalms 26 says, "Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and the right hand is full of bribes." And Proverbs 29 says, "The king by judgment establishes the land, but he who receives gifts or bribes overthrows it." Have factions of our nation become corrupt through political bribery? Many of you watching, I'm sure, would agree that this is a big problem. Yet we keep electing the same type of political leaders that keep this corruption going. It's my opinion that these corrupt leaders have access to so much dirty money that they are able to pay for the advertising time and flyers to keep giving the voters an untrue impression of who they really are. One place there is massive amounts of money to play with if you're a dishonest politician is the prison system. Voices who would like to speak up and have been unable to for the most part is the prisoners themselves. Who, after all, would believe an ex-convict over a politician with a suit and tie who kisses the babies? We have always needed church leadership to be the moral voice, yet this voice is all too quiet. Doug Bennett is one voice that hasn't been silenced. It's his life mission to expose the corruption. He has a lot of information that should both enlighten you and disturb you. And Doug, thank you for coming on the show and sharing something that you're passionate about, that you've been working really hard on. What got you interested in this?
I'd like to say thank you for having me on, but I'm irrelevant. I want to thank you for having this topic on. That's the relevant, the important issue, but my interest. I was a youngster that accepted the Lord at a young age, and He's always been my only hero. I never put a poster up. I never got an autograph from anybody.
Wow.
I've only had one hero, and nobody could replace him. But in the Bible, in Matthew 25, 31 is where it starts, and Matthew 25:31 to the end of the chapter, it tells how God is going to decide who goes to heaven and who does not,
Separating the sheep from the goats.
And sadly, so many church groups are deciding the separation comes with who speaks in tongues, or who wears a hat, or who wears a bonnet, or who doesn't wear a bonnet, and we've
a head covering.
Yeah, a head covering, but that's not what the Bible teaches. It teaches that there are an exact criterion that the Lord's going to use to separate the people, and one of them is how we treat prisoners, and it says to visit the prisoner, and so I have had an interest in the treatment of prisoners at a very young age.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. Well, the money in the prison system, we're talking about the corruption. As I read in 1 Timothy 6, the love of money, to emphasize love of money is the root of all evil. So if you get politicians that fear the Lord, I like to say, that shouldn't be a bad thing in politics. That should be a good thing, because if you don't fear the Lord, you're going to possibly, if you don't love the Lord more than money, you're going to follow the money. So really, there's a choice there. And because we elected to silence Christian viewpoints in politics, now you got a swarm of politicians who want the money. So how much money is in the prison system to play with?
one of the things that I don't have dollar signs, and I don't think anybody does, because the amounts are so huge. Even if we named the amount, we can't grasp that big amount of money. But one of the things that we have to realize is, if a prisoner escapes in Colorado, he doesn't stay in Colorado, he runs to Florida. And if somebody escapes Florida, he runs to California. Mm-hmm. So the federal government has stayed involved with the prisons and with the state prisons to do everything they can to keep riots from happening in the prison system. And riots are caused by poor conditions, and the most common riot is caused by food issues. So the federal government is putting money into the state prison system to make sure that the state prison systems treat the prisoners right and escapes stay down to a minimum. The highest cost of maintaining prisoners is food. That is the highest single cost. And not only have they learned to keep the food costs down, but they've learned to circumvent the cost altogether by making a law that allows them to violate federal law. And federal law says frozen food is not allowed to be used for human consumption after 1 year. Mm-hmm. But Oregon wrote a state law 3 years after the federal law was written, and Oregon allows frozen food to be treated as canned food. This is the only state on earth that has that law in print. Yeah. Now, other states are following Oregon's lead, since Oregon's getting by with feeding expired frozen food. Other states are doing it, but I don't think another state has printed it like Oregon did.
Can you put a number? I mean, is it $100,000 to keep a prisoner in prison each year, or $50,000 or $20,000? Or
Oregon puts out $32,000 a year to keep a prisoner.
$32,000, and that's state and federal money combined? Combined,
yeah, okay. As far as I know.
Okay.
And that's far above any other state. They spend more money because they have such high wages and high their retirement. When I began this battle over the food, the Oregon officials were retiring at 53 years old at 106% of pay. 106% of pay. No place else on earth has that ever happened.
And you see corruption in that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And as soon as I started this food battle, the Oregon officials began to lower the retirement that the state workers were getting. The money that they're making off of getting federal money to purchase fresh food, legal food, they spend it on expired food, and they pocket that money and put it in the public employees' retirement system, and bolster the retirement of all state employees, and that keeps the state employees involved in supporting stealing from prisoners.
Corruption after corruption after corruption. There aren't too many outlets where you can hear in-depth spiritual issues alongside conservative politics, where we can make a difference to those around us and our country. It's brought to you at a cost that's worthwhile, yet I'd like to do more. On 11thhourpolitics.com, you can buy books and videos that will advance this cause. There's delicious chanterelle tea containing vitamin D, proven to dispel depression. We have an art gallery and options to produce your own commercial or have us do it for you, along with other projects. It's only through a co-op that things get accomplished. I hope you will join me in this mission.